Hello from Shanghai, this is Chris. Welcome to another episode of China Currents, your weekly news report of what's happening in China. The top news of this week is definitely the arrival of the Arabic and Islamic foreign ministers. From November 20th to 21st, a delegation of foreign ministers from Arab and Islam countries visited China as their first stop of a tour aiming at ending the war in Gaza. Members of the delegation include Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, Jordanian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi, Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi, Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki, and Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Hissène Brahim Taha. China vows to have in-depth communication and coordination with the delegation on ways to de-escalate the ongoing Palestine-Israel conflict, protect civilians and seek a just settlement of the Palestinian question. Some believe that the delegation chose to go to China in the hope that China would act as a superpower to pressure Israel to call for a ceasefire, especially after China mediated Saudi-Iran deal. However, some Chinese want China to remain calm. China has done all it could in this conflict, including calls for a ceasefire in the international community, providing supply and humanitarian aids. The key to a ceasefire in the Gaza war still depends on the attitude of the United States. That is not the only effort China did to promote peace in Palestine. On November 21st, the leaders of the BRICS nations held a video meeting to address the escalating war in Gaza. Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, and the United Arab Emirates, nations that were invited to join the BRICS next year, also attended the meeting. The virtual conference is the first of its kind dedicated to an international issue in the history of BRICS. A joint statement was released calling for the release of hostage and a humanitarian truce. The statement was signed on by the UN Secretary General's office. Chinese President Xi Jinping delivered a speech during the BRICS leaders' video summit, in which he expressed his view on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and urged for immediate action to achieve a lasting and secure peace. He highlighted three urgent tasks that need to be addressed. Firstly, he called for an immediate cessation of hostilities, urging the conflicting parties to stop violence and attacks against civilians and release hostages. Secondly, Xi emphasized the importance of secure humanitarian corridors and increased assistance to the people in Gaza. Lastly, Xi expressed the need for practical measures by the international community to prevent the conflict from destabilizing the entire Middle East region. The BRICS video conference on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict represents a significant milestone in international diplomacy, showcasing the unity and determination of emerging market countries and developing nations to address global challenges. By leveraging the collective influence, the BRICS countries are striving to bring about a peaceful resolution of the ongoing conflict and foster a more just and harmonious world. As of November 22nd, a deal was reached between the two conflicting parties to release hostages from both sides. Next up, let's turn to sports. On November 21st, South Korea beat China 3-0 in the Group C of the 2026 FIFA World Cup Asian Zone qualifying tournament. China's defeat to South Korea was not unexpected, given the apparent disparity in the team's strengths. However, controversy ensued as Korean top star Song Hyun-min's action on the field sparked a heated debate. After scoring a goal, the Tottenham captain made a gesture to silence the Chinese fans, which didn't sit well with the Chinese players. Speaking in a post-match interview, Son acknowledged the challenging nature of playing away from home and expressed his appreciation for the enthusiastic Chinese fans. The match also had its share of refereeing controversies, with Chinese players questioning the first penalty awarded to Korea. This is South Korea's second consecutive victory, placing them at the top of the group standing. And despite the loss, China is still in the race to qualify for the World Cup, as it had won 2-1 against Thailand earlier this month. With upcoming matches against Singapore in March next year, the Chinese team aims to secure all 6 points and continue its progress. Next up, international cooperation. On November 20th, Chinese President Xi Jinping had a phone call with the French President Emmanuel Macron. President Xi praised France's active participation in the Belt and Road Initiative Summit and the China International Import Expo, seeking to strengthen economic ties between the two countries. It's worth noting that during the phone call, President Xi expressed the expectation that France would provide a fair and non-discriminatory business environment for Chinese enterprises investing in France. Months prior, the EU Commission launched an anti-subsidy investigation against Chinese electric vehicle companies, which could potentially face high tariffs when entering the European market. Paris was considered a key player in pushing the EU authority to initiate that probe. As electric vehicles become symbolic of both environmental issues and a potential China-EU trade conflict, the heads of state emphasized efforts to mitigate the situation during their conversation. Both sides stressed their track record of cooperation in responding to climate change and agreed to continue their joint efforts in the upcoming UN Climate Change Conference in Dubai. Additionally, according to multiple media outlets, French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna is set to visit China this week, shortly after the phone call between the two presidents. Next up, on November 20th, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning expressed deep concern about the US decision to sell up to 400 long-range Tomahawk missiles to Japan during a press briefing. The arms trade was authorized by US State Department on November 17th with a total transaction value of approximately $2.35 billion. Although the US didn't mention China directly, they claimed that the arms sale would improve Japan's capacity to meet current and future threats. Initially, the delivery of the missiles was scheduled to begin in 2026, but the US and Japan agreed to accelerate the timeline by 1 year by replacing a portion of the missiles with older types. On the same day the US authorized the deal, Chinese President Xi and US President Biden agreed to reopen military-to-military contact during their meeting in San Francisco. And consequently, arms trade is seen as US taking military advantage while pretending to have a détente with China. Chinese spokesperson Mao Ning criticized the US attempt to arm Japan, a country restrained by its peace constitution. The Tomahawk deal will further intensify an arms race that undermines regional peace and security. Mao also pointed out that Japan's history of waging World War II has made its militarization a concern for neighboring countries. Mao concluded by stating that US and Japan should respect the security concerns of Asian countries. Next up, on November 23rd, a ceremony in Incheon was jointly held by China and South Korea to transfer the remains and belongings of 25 Chinese soldiers who sacrificed their lives during the Korean War from 1950 to 1953. The significant event marked the 10th handover ceremony and took place at Incheon International Airport. Chinese ambassador to South Korea Xing Haiming respectfully covered the coffins of the soldiers with Chinese national flags, followed by a solemn memorial service conducted by the Chinese delegation. The coffins were then escorted by the Chinese honor guards to an awaiting Air Force plane for repatriation. Expressing gratitude for South Korea's consistent effort in facilitating the handover, Chinese Vice Minister of Veterans Affairs Chang Zhengguo acknowledged and appreciated their commitment. Chang also emphasized China's dedication to further enhancing communication and coordination with South Korea, deepening friendly cooperation, and expediting repatriation process for more fallen Chinese soldiers. The ceremony was attended by members of the Chinese delegation, officials from the Chinese embassy in South Korea, representatives of the Chinese students and companies based in South Korea, as well as officials from South Korean Defense Ministry, Foreign Ministry, and Presidential Office. Next up, let's take a look at Tesla in China. On November 20th, according to the salesperson Tesla China, the price of Model 3 and Model Y is set to increase this week due to rising costs. According to the salesperson, this price increase is expected to be consecutive and will apply to all models in the Tesla lineup. The salesperson also revealed that due to strong sales, there is significant pressure on the production line, resulting in higher production costs. As a result, the prices of the relevant Tesla models are expected to continue to rise this week. Currently, a Tesla Model 3 costs 261,400 yuan in China, while the Model 3 in US costs about $28,490. Tesla sold more than 25,000 vehicles in October. In comparison, BYD, China's largest EV manufacturer, sold more than 246,000 vehicles in October. Tesla's increase in price was not the only thing that put him in this week's trending news. A Chinese woman identified as Li has been instructed by the court to issue a public apology to Tesla and provide compensation after being found guilty of defamation. The case stems from an incident in March 2021 when Li was involved in a traffic accident when driving Tesla Model 3. In a subsequent turn of events, Li, along with another woman named Zhang, staged a protest at the Shanghai Auto Expo in April. Both donned attire bearing the words "brake failure" in an attempt to discredit Tesla. Zhang was subsequently detained for disruption of public order, while Li received an administrative warning. The court's judgment mandates Li to remove all defamatory statements and comments regarding Tesla from her social media account within 10 days. Additionally, she is required to issue a written apology to Tesla via same platform. As part of the ruling, Li must compensate Tesla for the economic losses and legal expenses totaling 2,000 yuan. Furthermore, Li is responsible for covering the appraisal fee of 20,000 yuan. The court allocated a majority of the court acceptance fee, 25,000 yuan, to the plaintiff, with Li being accountable for a nominal portion. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching this episode of China Currents. If you have any thoughts and comments about our show, please reach us at the email address below. And Chris, looking forward to hearing from you and see you next time.